Welcome back, Fantasy Moto fans, to the PulpMX Fantasy Show. I'm Donnie from RotoMoto, and in this video, I have 5 riders I want you to look at when making your picks for San Diego 2022, tips for the FFL, the weather report, race day schedule, and an early look at what my team could be come Saturday night. And stick around to the end if you want to find out how you could win this race-used front number plate fresh off the front of Adam Ciancerolos' A1 bike, autographed by the man himself. But first, as always, we look back at some of the stats and info from last weekend in Oakland. The player base holds steady, just over 20K with 20,200 total teams in Oakland, of which 9,711 had signed up for the championship league. The most popular team, or the sum of the 8 riders that have the highest pick trend, would have scored 258, showing once again that it is not always a great idea to get cute and pick against the grain. A lot of guys have a high pick trend for a good reason. The median championship score was 210, meaning if you scored 211 or more, you did better than half of the paying field. But if you didn't, don't feel so bad, because it could have been worse. This guy picked 7 riders that all made the main at A1, showing that he did put in some effort, and the only non-All-Star to make his Oakland main event was the guy that missed A1. 43 points for this poor soul that paid 20 bucks to play. FFL continues to be a losing gamble, with just 64 people correctly guessing Joe Shimoda for the 250 FFL. AC was a more reasonable guess, but there's just something off-putting about the fact that it was specifically 666 people that successfully picked him. Big loser of the weekend was Derek Kelly, and everyone who picked him, a total of 81% worth of pick trend, missed the mains in Oakland, meaning most teams had at least 1-0 weighing them down. Your PulpMX fantasy experts had a little shakeup this weekend. I rebounded to the top step with 238 riding on that troll train, but swung and missed with Dominique Thury. Paul and Dan continue to put in solid efforts for 2022, but JT is still riding the struggle bus, just 196 for the steadfast veteran after his faith in Cheyenne Harmon led him down a path of darkness. Also, Steve does what Steve does best. Slight shakeup in the season standings. Paul moves ahead of Dan for the lead, and I pass Steve for the 3rd step on the podium. Hard to believe, just 2 races in, and JT is already nearly 100 points down in this made-up division that has no prizes. All right, on to San Diego, where you will be playing to win a jersey fresh off the back of Justin Brayton. Luckily, I don't have any heavy hitters to add to the bad side of the ins and outs for San Diego, but have 3 fantasy darlings to add back in. Jalek Swoll returns to the 250 class after suffering from concussion-like symptoms as a result of his A1 crash. Justin Brayton tested positive and was forced to miss Oakland, but he returns for San Diego, in addition to his MCR Honda teammate Mitchell Oldenburg, who did not have a positive test, but did miss the race after one of his children's did. Hunter Sales returned to Oakland after missing A1 after failing Corona protocols himself, but did not line up for his heat race, so I'm listing him here as a to be determined. Check the qualifying results before adding him to your team. And finally, Cade Clayson had a hard get off in Oakland, but he has said on Instagram that he's hoping to line up for round 3. 3 new All-Stars for the weekend. Nate Thrasher slides into the top 8 in points and bumps Robbie Wageman into double point eligible territory. After 2 uncharacteristically poor finishes at A1, Plessinger and Anderson finish 1-2 in Oakland and move into their rightful place inside the top 8, with Sexton and Savacci now worth double points in San Diego. All right, on to your San Diego picks. I have 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guy for you gamblers out there, starting with the little class and working our way up. 250 All-Star is wide open, with just about everyone being pickable at their current handicap, but I'm going to lean on Hunter Lawrence here. The HRC Honda rider has joined Hammaker and Craig as the only 3 guys to finish on the podium through the first 2 rounds. Hunter has definitely established himself as the clear number 2 in the class behind Craig, which is no surprise. Last season, Hunter finished on the podium 44% of the times, including a 2nd place finish at the East-West Showdown in Salt Lake, with an average finish of 4th and a worst of 7th. A double eligible rider that I want you to take notice of this weekend is Carson Mumford. Last season was rough, just 4 main events, with 3 of them 19th or worse. But the newly minted Bar X Suzuki rider has shown some real life here in the 2022. After battling up front nearly all of A1, he secured his first top 10 finish of his career, but after a rough start in Oakland that saw him dead last on lap 6, in the mechanics area, I expected to see him ride back to the pits. Nope. Carson used the remaining 9 laps to pass 8 riders and secure a 14th for double points. That led to his handicap staying right where it is at a 4, which makes him a great upside pick while having a pretty solid safety net if things go sour in the main. On the 450 side, we have another batch of 8 solid all-star choices, so you really can't go wrong, but man, Ken Roczen at a 4 feels like a real gift. The Anaheim 1 winner obviously had a rough weekend in Oakland, going down in qualifying, getting his face run over, and then losing it in the tough blocks in the main led to his worst finish in 4 years, dating all the way back to that DNF when his arm got massaged by Cooper Webb's back tire. Since then, Ken has been nothing but a machine, finishing top 10 in every single main event and being in the top 5 76% of the time in 2021. All of this being said, I fully expect him to have a massive pick trend, especially if he qualifies in the top 3. The rider they want you to stay away from this weekend is Joey Savatgy. He's become somewhat of a stalwart pick recently with his top 10 consistency, but his 0 handicap just doesn't leave a lot on the table. His average finish last season was 11.1, and he finished inside the top 10 less than half the time, and that was when he was healthy. Did I mention that Joey is racing with a completely torn ACL in his right leg? This is definitely an injury that can be raced through, but still, he's one wrong tip over in the wrong direction from ending the season on the spot. And with little to no upside, he's just not worth the risk until his handicap reaches at least a 2 or a 3. The high handicap hero of the round, given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think have a realistic chance to score massive points this weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out a little LCQ action for a big payout. This one is gonna make some of you cringe when I say it, but let's look at Derek Kelly. The AEO Power Sports KTM rider has a 13 handicap. Here's what he's gonna do. He's gonna qualify well. He's gonna come straight out of the heat race into the main. He's gonna flirt with the top 10, but then there's a good chance he's gonna end up at the bottom. But that is okay. He's a 13 handicap. Unlike Jerry, Bogle, and other guys that often fit this bill, Kelly has a realistic chance to max out, but he also has the luxury of a handicap high enough to guarantee double points. He makes the main, you get 28. He races well, you get more. This might be the juiciest high handicap hero of the season, and remember, 13% of the field cannot have him this weekend. Moving on to the FFLs, not a lot of change here. I know Joe Shimoda got one last weekend, but I need to see him get 2 good starts to bump these 3. And getting stuck in the gate does not help. Bottom line, you're still flipping a coin between Craig and Freezy, but personally, myself, I am staying out of this class until someone gets 3. The 450 side feels the same as last week. AC shows he may still be the best starter in the class, but he is still banged up. So for me, Kenny continues to be the favorite as long as AC remains banged up. Sexton has won his heat in both of the first 2 rounds, so he'll continue to get great gate choices, and this is eventually going to pay off for the younger HRC rider, but just like the 250 class, I'm staying out of this until someone gets multiples. Another uncharacteristically chilly California night on Saturday, sunny and mid-60s all day, but by the time the racing starts, we'll be in the mid-50s with a clear sky. The race day schedule is your typical West Coast fare. Those of us on the East Coast are going to have a late one with race day live beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. local time in San Diego, and will be broadcast live on the Peacock app. RotoMoto Patreon supporters are the first to receive the cheat sheets as I post them to our private Discord as soon as each class wraps up, and then to the Patreon at wide around 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. The standard cheat sheets hit the general public on the PulpMX Fantasy Twitter and Instagram pages shortly after that, sometime between 8:30 and 9 p.m. Eastern, and then the picks lock and the gates drop at 10 p.m. Eastern on the USA Network and the Peacock app. After the race, feel free to join me over on my own YouTube channel for the RotoMoto post-race program immediately following the 450 podium ceremony, where I talk directly with you and other Supercross fans live on camera about the racing, the drama, the fallout, and of course, the fantasy results as they become available. Before I show you my early team for San Diego, I want to talk about Maxxis Tire coming on for all 17 rounds of the Supercross season so I can deliver these videos for you. You know Maxxis Tire. You know their MXST tire designed by the king of Supercross and my all-time favorite rider, Jeremy McGrath. It is the newest and most advanced tire in the Maxxis MX lineup, featuring an all-new tread pattern, compound, and composition to provide the stability, predictability, and traction that the upper tiers of motocross demand. The entire SGB Honda team runs Maxxis on their race bikes, including PulpMX show favorites and on-again, off-again rivals Alex Ray and Cade Clayson, available at your local retailer and also at motosport.com. My Thursday morning team shows Hunter Lawrence as my 250 All-Star, joined by the returning Jalek Swoll. I am a bit concerned about his injury, but I think a 2 leaves a good cushion even if he's not 100% up to speed. Carson Mumford at a 4, and I'll put my money where my mouth is and list Derek Kelly as my 4th and final 250 guy. On the 450 side, give me Kenny with that generous 4 handicap. I have the 2 returning Honda boys with Justin Brayton at a 4 with top 10 potential, and Mitch Oldenburg, who hopefully comes back rested and recharged for a career ride. And for the 3rd week in a row, I think Justin Bogle is a good pick. All I need is not last, and I think we can do that. Right, Chief? If you want a chance to win this number plate of the very one Adam Cianciarulo ran in the main event at A1, autographed by the man himself, consider joining the RotoMoto Patreon. For just about $1 per week, you support me immensely and help make it possible for me to make more content like this, but you are also entered to win race-used memorabilia from your favorite riders and fantasy darlings every single month. Right now, there are only about 50 people in the Patreon circle, so your odds of winning something every month are great, and you don't even have to be good to do it. Sign up for the Insider tier for an additional entry into the giveaway, as well as an exclusive podcast talking fantasy stats on every rider in the field, as well as the enhanced cheat sheets that come out every single Saturday. Link for that is in the description below. And don't forget to follow at PulpMX Fantasy and RotoMoto on both Instagram and Twitter for injury updates as the weekend rolls on, qualifying info and stats and banter throughout the race itself, and those fantasy cheat sheets once qualifying is done and wrapped. Thank you for watching the PulpMX Fantasy Show presented by Maxxis. My name is Donnie, and may your chiz is chiz this weekend. 8 is great, and remember to have fun.